Look at I cleaned that camera.
Yeah, did it clean up right?
Yeah, nah, you cleaned up really good, really good. All right, let's see what we're working with now. Yep, live on. Okay, we're live on YouTube.
Money can buy you almost
Wait a minute.
All the way down we go. That's crazy. Bro, the technology's crazy, dude. Dude, that's wild. Yeah, we're setting up over here to, get it live on all of our platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and then there's a link that you can click in my Instagram story to jump on the Riverside link as well. That's like the official one where if you don't see as good as quality on this one, you can, you know, watch it full screen on there. All the way down we go. Oh. Numbers are jumping, Rick. People love you. Oh, your mic is off.
There you go. What'd you say?
I said numbers are jumping, dude. People love you.
Booyah. All right. Let's see. So you're on also Facebook, right?
Yep. We on every major platform. I
Okay.
said, yep, we're on every major platform.
Okay. I don't see the live on Facebook yet. I saw the Instagram one, but not that one yet. No. Let's see. What was that? Did you see I met that guy yesterday, Rocco
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Lions?
That goes crazy.
Mm-hmm. Boom.
Hey, Jeff Clark out here. What's up, Jeff? How you doing, bro? You stay tuned, bro. We got like another 10 minutes, maybe another 5 minutes, and we're going to jump in. I'm excited, man. This one is this one was in the making. I'm gonna move over so everyone on Instagram can see. I don't know why the camera's like that. Go on YouTube, bro. You can see the full thing. It's at FFF podcast. It's the same logo that I use for everything that's on there. Instagram's dope and all, but I don't get why it does like this whole split screen. I don't know. Who knows, dude? I'm not a tech person. That's why I joined the military. So I can dig holes 6 feet down, and then after lunch, I can put all the dirt right back in them.
Yo, mom.
Oh, way down. Nah, like I was saying, I'm definitely excited for this one. This is gonna be a good one. Me and Rick been in contact for about a week already. Finally get to hop on with him. Hear the story, man. Someone on someone on Instagram says, I'm by myself at a Cracker Barrel in the middle of fucking nowhere watching your podcast.
There you go.
Hey, shout out to you, man. You a real one. All right, Rick, you ready, bro?
Yeah, it's 9:52.
You want to jump into it early, or you good? What are you eating? A string cheese?
Yeah, not string, but
Yeah. Doesn't matter how old you are, man. String cheese is still hit, like like you're in
where
second
it's at,
grade.
man. Where it's
Yeah,
at.
man. They're good.
Mm-hmm. String cheese and V8 splash. Way to go. Thinking about getting a motorcycle.
Why?
Why not?
Well, I mean,
It's kind of like
I guess
it's
I guess
always
you're right.
when my wife asks, I say, "Hey, I want a fire truck," and then she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Why not?"
Yeah, because
And
I
then
want
she
one.
goes, "Where are you gonna park it?" I go, "Right next to the fire hydrant." Duh.
Yo, that's actually 100 IQ right there. Because do you get a ticket for that?
It's a fire truck. Why?
Yeah,
It's supposed to be
yeah,
there.
yeah. I thought this was the only spot I'm allowed to park in.
Exactly right. It makes sense, officer.
Mm.
All right. Sent the link out, so hopefully I can get that.
I don't know if anyone else out there, Christmas time, your wife makes you use all of these Christmas coffee cups because, God forbid, I use any other type of coffee mug around. It's like a ultimate sin. I don't know.
Now this is a coffee mug.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, look at you know the circumference of my head is the circumference of your wrist, so it kind of that is a coffee cup. Damn,
It
that's
is.
elite.
It's like a
Holy shit! Damn,
203.
everyone check that out. I need to get me one of them. You can't get that on Amazon.
Nah, let me know. I'll send you that one because I don't drink coffee. I just use it for looks.
Hey, you
I
send
haven't
it to me.
drank
I'll
anything out of
I'll
it
be
yet.
grateful.
I haven't drank
Merry
anything
Christmas to
out of
me.
it, and I haven't stuck anything in it yet.
Okay, good. Oh God, that's where this is gonna go. All right, Rick, I'm ready when you are, man. Let's hit it. Let's give the audience, what they came here for.
Let's rock and roll.
All right, everybody, here we go. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the Fighting Freedom podcast. Today, I am joined by Ranger Rick Morello and the founder of the Man 22 Suicide Awareness Run. What's up, brother, man? How you doing today?
What's up? I'm doing good. How are you?
Chilling, man, chilling. Ready to rock and roll and get into this. I've been looking forward to this for the better half of a week already. Every time I see a guest that I'm gonna take that back. Anytime I get a guest, I'm like, all right, I want to dive into them. I want to see what their story is. I want to know it before they tell it. And man, do we have a story here? What you've done, I'm curious to know. But what you've done after the military, it's honestly amazing, dude. I commend you 100% for it. It's honestly amazing.
All right. Let's. They're trying to get on, and she's telling me that it's not sending her to the studio, so she's trying Instagram right now. So we just want to make sure for anybody watching out there where we're what link we're looking at, and yeah. So
Yep. So you can go on all socials for the Fighting for Freedom podcast. We're
okay, so
live
they
right
can go to
now.
your direct Fight the Freedom podcast page. And
Correct.
it's
We're
on
on
there.
Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube live right now.
All right, so I'll post that there, so they see that. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Right, following copy link. There we go. So I'll post that to that one. Click link. Live at 10. Bam. Bam.
We need to get you like an assistant,
I do. I have a chief of staff.
Oh,
And then
really?
I have a chief of staff. I have a public relations person because I really need one. And
Yeah, you do. But then it ended up where you were just like, I got this.
yeah, well, we can discuss those people and their roles and how valuable they are in my life when it comes to my social interaction,
Yeah, well,
people
just getting everything
interaction.
together, right? Like you need yourself a team. It's
Yes.
stressful to do everything by yourself.
Yes.
I'm doing it right now, and I'm miserable. I'm not gonna say I'm miserable. That's probably a bad word to use, but it's very stressful at times where I'm trying to answer emails, I'm trying to schedule podcasts, I'm trying to keep up with dates, and I'm not the most tech savvy person out there. I can play Call of Duty. That's about it. But when it comes to using my phone, I'm completely lost. Like, if you text me, I'm probably not going to get back to you. I'll
Yeah.
forget. But if you call me, then I'm like, oh, okay, we can talk about everything we need to talk about in 5 minutes compared to a 15-minute long text message. I don't know. I don't get it.
No, well, it happens. All right, she's on, so I guess everybody else should be on.
Beautiful. All right. From
So
the top.
yes,
From the top. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome again to the Fighting for Freedom podcast. Today I am joined by Ranger Rick Morello and the founder of the Man 22 Suicide Awareness Run. Rick, how you doing today, man? I'm
good
glad
to
you made it.
go.
I'm glad you brought your guns with you too.
Always, always.
Yeah, always. Nah, I just want to say thank you before we get into this for taking the time out of your day. I know you're a busy man. I've looked into what you've done and what you've been doing, and I just want to say thank you, man. I'm excited for everyone in my community and everyone in your community to like come together and hear the story from the horse's mouth.
There you go.
So Rick, let's take it from the top, right? Where were you born? Where did you grow up? What inspired you to, join the army at the age of 18 years old?
So I was born in Belize, Central America.
Okay.
Stayed there till I was 7. Then I was raised in Jersey, Jersey City, New Jersey, with my
Shout
mom,
out
my
Jersey.
sisters, and my stepdad. That's right. Go Eagles.
Oh,
So,
stop it.
yeah, grew up there. Went to high school there. Left high school, went into the AmeriCorps Youth Corps. Uh,
Okay.
Became a EMT. Got my GED, and then I worked like 2 jobs as a rescue guy, EMS guy, and then also as a transport guy. And then my mom decided to go see the recruiter on my behalf, and recommend I go into the army. So I did. Joined the army. Didn't know what I was joining. I've seen Rambo, but wasn't really like,
Yeah.
oh, this is it. And that's probably the extent was Rambo's all I see. Um, and I joined, and I was going to be it said I was going to be a fire support specialist. And this is probably why I love fire trucks, because I came home and told my mom I was going to be a firefighter, because
Yeah.
that's really what I thought I was going to be. Turns out it was not.
Yeah.
So on my way in, I volunteered. I saw the red beret or maroon beret guy come in, and I'm like, that looks cool. What does he do? He's like, he jumps out of a plane. I was like, cool, sign me up. Then I went to AIT. The Ranger guy is there with his real black beret, and
Mhm.
I said, man, that dude looks badass. Sign me up. And then he started talking about 30-mile ruck marches and all this other shit. And I'm just like, oh man. I was like, what did I sign up for? And
Yeah.
yeah, ended up in First Ranger Battalion for about 4 years. Multiple training stuff. 9/11 kicked off. Pretty much knew we were going to war then. Didn't get an opportunity to go to war with them. Ended up going to spend a year in Korea, and then from Korea, decided that the regular army was not for me, and you know wanted to go. I say figure SF. You know, and at the time, there's a little secret. At the time, people were going selection to get a free plane ticket home. They were quitting after 7 days and getting 14 days of leave on top of their 14 days of leave. So it was real.
Oh.
There was a real scam that was going on, and it
Yeah.
sounded very interesting. And I was
Mhm.
like, "Well, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna see what happens." And
Yeah.
I probably trained once, and ruck marching was not my thing. And the guy who I was training with broke me off on the ruck marching. And after I came in like 15 minutes behind him, I said, "Hey, now it's time to run." And he's like, "What?" So we ran in our boots, our weapon, no ruck, just ran. And I smoked him on the 2 miler. It's amazing. And he comes back after me like 5 minutes, and I said, "Don't ever ask me to train with you again." And
Yeah.
I never trained at that point. And I finally went to selection in January of 2003, and he went with me. And guess who made it? I made it, and he did not.
It, wow.
And he would ruck march. We would ruck march, and we would be 15 minutes apart. And he caught up to me, and he was like, "Hey, Ranger, let's go, let's go." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I ran for like a good 50 meters with him, and I was like, you go ahead, I'm good to go, And he continued on and he smoked it, But when it came down to land nav, he was not that person. So ended up making it. Uh, Went back to Korea, closed out, came back in June of 2003. Uh, Became an 18 Echo, which was the communications sergeant. Finished the whole Q course by December of 2004, which means I was just fast tracking through that pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Got to third Special Forces Group in 2005, and I served from there from 2005 to 2011. I did multiple tours, of course. '05 was Operation Red Wings, so I was brand new to the unit, and I was the Siege Assotive Commo guy for that mission. So I actually got to meet the SEAL team. We flew from Bagram, dropped the team off, and then continued on to JBAD, and
Wow.
then stuff just went on from there. Continued on two more deployments. Got shot in 2008, January 26, 2008. Shot one bullet, five holes, four to the chest. It was the
Holy shit.
most interesting day of my life, and the best 3 months of my life. And 3 months from the time getting shot to going home to healing up. Once I went home, uh, took I got home February 3rd. I think the Giants won the Super Bowl that year, so 2008 they did. Um, and healed up by mid March. I was ready to go. I was all healed up, ready to go. And I won't you know broadcast it, but I'll just say I drank Jameson every day, and that pushed all the bad stuff, the infection and all that stuff I had. You see the scar right here. So
Oh
that's the
yeah,
scar.
damn.
Of the bullet. Bullet came in here, came out here, split the bicep, went in here and came out the back, and then four to the chest. Um,
Wow.
Came home, healed up, and went and enjoyed St. Patrick's Day in Savannah, Georgia, and then I went back to Afghanistan.
Yeah, I bet
And
someone, people don't wake up in the morning thinking like, I'm gonna have a real shitty day, and for you to have to go, through something like that's just shitty.
oh, one thing about that day is I remember is the morning of the day. It was actually my mom's birthday is January 25th, so
Okay.
which they're a day behind. So I called my mom, wished her happy birthday, which was the 24th, the 25th for us, but 24th for her. And so the next day, the 26th, is when it happened. And I always tried to say they tried to ruin my mom's birthday, but bad
Yeah,
on
but
them.
yeah, bad on
Yeah.
you because no one can take down mine. Her birthday, swear,
Yes.
like it. If we really wanted to, what we could do is just get every mother out there with like a chancla or a slipper to go to war, and we won't lose any war.
Nah, we've just
Yeah,
been beating them. But
yeah, just over.
I talk about the men I was with. So that morning, we get to the village and we speak to the elders at the front of the village, and we let
Hmm.
them know that we're here to search the village. There's been Taliban activities, weapon cache that we need to search. And they said okay. And they went back, about an hour and a half. You start to see all the women and children leaving. And when the women and children are leaving the village, there's about to be something that goes down. So like we
Yep.
see this line of women and children leaving, and at that point is a point of understanding where you stand at, where you are as a warrior, where you are as a SF guy, Ranger guy that say, hey, we're about to go into something, and we know it's about to happen. Now, do we turn around and walk away, or do we go do and execute what we did? And we did. We executed it. Um, you know, One casualty, which was myself, but no one killed, and you know we did what we did. But to those guys who stood those grounds with me that day and say, "Hey, we're still going to do what we do," those are the type of men I serve with. I walk amongst giants, is what I always say, and those are those giants that I was able to serve with. Um,
That's
like I said,
that's beautiful, man.
Yep. Came back home, went back. Then I came back after that deployment because I wanted to be with my team, finish out with my team, live the rock star life. Who's going to question the guy who got shot 5 times and went back on his own? And, so we partied. One thing, military, we drink before we leave. Sometimes we drink when we're there. We drink when we come home. And, and just living that party life of surviving another deployment and basically that's kind of what ended my career was the alcohol drinking and getting in not showing up for formation and stuff like that. DUIs was pretty much what ended my career abruptly. You know,
Mm. How long were you in until you hit that point?
13 years.
Oh, okay. So you were
Yeah.
over the hump, coming
Oh
down, but then yeah, but then things took a turn.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Does that kind of relay into what you're doing after the military?
Yes. So the
Yeah.
transition was abrupt. Like I said, when
Mm-hmm.
you're used to just being a ranger, being SF, being all army, and that's what all I was, and then all that taken away from you, then it's like, oh wow, So it was other than honorable discharge, reduced to E1. I was an E7, SF tab taken away, everything. So stripped completely of your identity of what you were in the military, and that's what happened. And where I'm at today, what we're doing is trying to prevent that from happening abruptly like that without some type of counseling. Basically, the Army did with me was they checked the block. Say, okay, you're going to go to ASAP counseling, group counseling, but bam, we want you out the Army as soon as possible because you're putting nothing but a black eye on the unit rather than, hey, this guy's got an alcohol problem. What led to that? Where we're
Mm-hmm.
at today, two DUIs back to back is is a sign. It should be a flare that goes up, And I was too proud back then, and I was like, oh well, whatever, I'll make it. But as the years went on, after I got out, and I got out with nothing, lost my family, lost all that connection I had, continue on with the drinking, the fighting, the streets, being out on the streets, getting myself caught up in many different situations. You know, one thing I say, I never did drugs, so I never did drugs, but alcohol might as well have been a drug. I
Mm-hmm.
spoke at a substance abuse center yesterday to where there were heroin addicts, crack addicts, active, non-active, alcohol, and they were like, well, why are you speaking there? They're drug addicts, this and that. I was like, well,
Yeah.
alcohol is a drug. Alcohol can ruin people's lives in an instant, take
Mm-hmm.
lives in an instance as well. So, so without the proper counseling, the proper transition out, I still continued on what I was doing until, 3 years into it, a best friend of mine committed suicide. And that's where the turning point of me was. I need to do something. I need to fix myself, and I need to be there for other people as they were for me. He was there for me. He was a very good friend for about a year and a half. But you know how that military creates that bond. You can become best friends with someone in a shorter time than you can with someone that you actually spend a longer time with. So he
Yep.
became my best friend. He became that guy for me, and he moved to Seattle. Went over there to be closer to his parents, his sisters, brothers, and became a commercial diver there. Eventually, his demons caught up with him, and he ended up committing suicide. And that was my turning point. That was where, if you must say, through tragedy comes light, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where the name of my organization came from. Without the tragedy of Barry Barker, I would not have seen the light to try to fix myself and focus. And I always tell people it's up to you on how bright you want that light to shine.
Mm-hmm. Did you become a commercial diver yourself?
Yes, I did. I did.
Wow, that's good. Did you do that, while your friend was doing it, or did you do it prior or after?
No, I did it. I did it after. So, I went to college. I got my degree in welding technology in
Oh wow,
2019.
good for you. That's a
And
good job.
Barry's mom, I went to see her on the third year of my suicide awareness run, which we'll talk about. And I brought a
Yes,
sign, and I did a sign dedication, which we'll talk about. All this stuff ties in together. Um,
correct.
she made me a promise on the fifth year of the run that if she came, that she was going to come to the run. And I said, okay, she's going to bring his helmet and she's going to come. So she did. So she was planning to come. I say, hey, it's the fifth year, 2019, 2020 is our fifth year. And once I graduated welding school, welding college, I said, you know what? I'm going to go to commercial dive school. And everybody's like, what? They was like, what? They was like, you don't even like the water. I know. I hate my
Yeah,
tub
I
because
know.
I hate my tub because it fills up with water. But I wanted to, when Barry's mom came and brought his helmet, I wanted to have a helmet that I dove in and put it next to his helmet. on the 5th year of the run because the run was created for him. And that's what happened. I went to commercial dive school. I graduated. They said, hey, 2 weeks before graduation, they said, what are you doing once you graduate? I said, I ain't diving. I was like, you ain't putting me back in that water. I was like, I came here for one thing and one thing only, and that's to
Yeah.
honor my friend. And
Yep.
they said, oh, perfect. We're standing up a residency program, and we think you'd be great to run the residency program. And you could do that meanwhile you wait to go to school. So yeah, I did that. So I stood up their residence program. I went to the ROV course, which is remote operational vehicle underwater. That was a month long
Okay.
course. And then a month after that, I went to advanced underwater welding course. And I did that. I graduated that. And then once that was over with, I left and I came back here to Fayetteville, be with my friends, be closer, and kind of figure out what I'm going to do next. The run and my organization were still going on, but I was down in Charleston and I actually built we say I built another branch of what I was doing up here. I did 2 sign dedications down in Charleston, and created a veteran network group along with working along with the Jeep groups down there, which they're very veteran oriented. So I came back here, rekindle stuff with my girlfriend, which is now my wife, beautiful wife.
Nice. I love that.
I know she's listening, but
Oh, shout out to the wife if she's listening.
yes.
That's dope. That's dope.
But and I started my mobile welding company. We solidified the organization as a nonprofit, and got married a year ago. Ended up on a forklift job that travels around the country, and that's where we're at. And to
Wow.
go back a little bit about the military, the discharge is being upgraded, and I got my SF tab reinstated. We're just still trying to figure out the rank thing, but I find the rank thing very humor
Nah,
because
you
I've
should
got
say
all these
E1.
medals. I got I got all these medals, and I was like, I tried to convince my wife to let me wear my uniform with all these medals in an E1 rank, and she said no. So I'll just be that. I'll be that guy in the nursing home, like a World War II vet. You remember those World War II vet? They had
Yep.
like 3 combat jumps, all this stuff, and they were like a PFC.
Yep.
That's the goal, to hang out with my friends and just be that guy.
I have that one picture that I used of you when you wear it. You're in a suit and you have your medals on you. But just to know that this guy who's just yoinked out of his mind with all these decorations of medals is only at E1.
That's
That's
right,
funny.
right.
That's
I look
funny.
like a
I,
Mexican general.
oh, that is funny. Rick, let's kind of backtrack on the timeline a little bit, right? I think what's very important is for people to understand not only you and your story, but ways they can maybe relate to hopefully not being in the same situation or circumstances, right? So when when all this is going downhill for you and you went from having the time of your life to getting kicked out of the military and alcohol is playing a big part of your life, how do you overcome all of that? What do you do for your mental health to kind of get Rick to become a commercial diver, to start up foundations, to get his mind straight?
it's it's a determination to trying to make things better when you're actually going through it. The whole, like, in and out of trouble, in and out of fights and stuff like that. You're not thinking, you're just completely reckless. And then it just takes that one moment in life, and it's whether it was losing Barry Barker to say, holy crap, I need to look at what's going on around me. I am in the most trouble I can probably be in, and facing some time. So
Hmm.
now it's okay. Boom, the satisfaction of doing something and accomplishing something is like, okay, well, I accomplished this. I can accomplish something else. Most guys live off their military service. I was a ranger, I was SF, I did this and that. There's nothing wrong with that. you know, to be proud of your awards, be proud of what you've done. Most guys, when I say, "Hey, I'm wearing my medals at my wedding," they're like, "Oh, why do you want to wear that?" "Oh, I'm wearing, a lapel pin with SF Ranger on." "Why you want to do that?" And I'm like, "Because I'm proud of what I've accomplished." And
Hmm.
once you get out the military and you start accomplishing things, and you see that the military wasn't the end all for you. Here we are making things better. The parking sign dedications. It was because I wanted a parking sign close to the door because I don't do cardio, and I wanted a parking sign close to the gym door, and that was really it.
I want to be
And
able to. There's no fire hydrant in front of the gym, so I can't park my fire truck here.
exactly, exactly. But once you start to see what you're accomplishing and what you're doing for other people, it becomes therapeutic. And I didn't
Mhm.
realize it was therapeutic. But the joy I see that people have, smiling, happy, tears of joy. One thing is when I do my parking dedication ceremony, I try to avoid looking into where the families are because everyone's crying. It's just so emotional, and I can get emotional sometimes too. You know, some people believe it or not, but I can. But I have to maintain my focus, and it's finding your purpose. Finding your purpose, because with purpose, you don't need an alarm clock to wake up. You'll wake up, you'll get going, and you'll understand what needs to get done.
Mhm.
So the transition for a person that retires to someone that just got out like that, there. I went to a retirement, and the guy's like, "Oh man, it's going to be rough transitioning from this," and I'm like, "You're a retired sergeant major. Try my life. Let me tell you, I don't want to be like Bowie me, but I'm gonna tell you how harder it can be."
Yep.
And just that, finding your purpose. I tell guys, hey, go fishing, go on a vacation, and then come back. Don't jump right into that contract in life and that life where you want to be. Take a minute, take a break with your family, but find that purpose. That's the key to transition, is finding that purpose, whether it's a rough transition or a hard transition. Just understand that what you got to build, your pace plan, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. You have a pace plan for everything, you will always get where you need to go. That's it.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's good for people to know, you know, maybe I'm not going through the same situation with the same severity as Rick did, but I'm definitely going through something as well. Even God forbid, I hope they never do go through it. But in the future, if shit goes downhill and they find themselves in the same situation, I want people to know that take a breath. It'll be all right. You got yourself in this situation, and you're gonna have to get yourself out. How? These are steps that you can follow to get yourself out. You're not alone when it comes to all of this stuff. Mental health is one of the biggest things in the military. Whether on Friday you're the happiest guy alive, things are great. The weekend, everything comes crashing down, and then on Monday you find yourself kind of in a hole. Right? Everyone needs to know, like, there's resources out there. There's things you can do to overcome this. And what you said, Rick, I actually do love it. A lot of people will get out of the military and they'll jump right into something. Meanwhile, you just
Mm-hmm.
did, whatever amount of years active duty, and then you go right into another job. I don't think that's completely necessary. Take that time. Be able to wear whatever you want. Wake up and not have to shave and just enjoy the day, enjoy the week, enjoy the month, whatever time you need to yourself, do you, and then you can, take life by the balls again and
Yep.
and figure things out.
Yep. That's it.
So, Rick, let's dive into maybe the real reason why you started the parking space dedication, besides parking your fire truck wherever you want.
Not the fire truck, just parking my car in the front. You know. And so that generated when I'm a Purple Heart recipient. So I said, hey, we should put a Purple Heart parking sign in the front so I don't have to walk that far.
Hmm.
I got the sign, and I had the sign for a couple of days, and I said, you know what? Let's add something to this rather than just put a sign up. Lowe's have those signs, Purple Heart parking or veteran parking. I said, let's add something to it. So I decided to add a, a gold plate with the rank, name, date of birth, and date of departure of a person. You know, and the gold plate significance, as you know, being in the military, you could put a gold plate on a plastic bottle, and as long as that gold plate has someone name on it, it becomes something of value, and that's what it's about. So I started out, put the name. By the end of 2 weeks, I had 7 Purple Heart parking spaces going up, dedicated to 7 different people, and that's how
Wow.
that rolled into that. Um, then our next dedication, I was trying to find a way rather than just putting the sign up, how people can know about the person, how people can learn about the person. So I looked at different things like chips, adding a link to it, but I didn't know how to do it. And then I ran across this thing called a QR code 8 years
QR
ago.
code.
Eight
8 years.
years
Wow.
ago,
It's crazy.
nobody knew.
I learned
what a
about it last
QR
year.
code was.
Yeah. Nope.
I should have invested in it, but
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
damn it. But yes. So I was like, so I said, I was at Fast Signs and I said, what is that? And he goes, that's the QR code. I said, what does that do? And, and it says, well, pretty much you download a QR code reader. You download a QR code generator. This is how old it is. You had to download a generator, a reader, and you connect whatever link you want to it. So I was like, oh, really? I was like, so anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. Just download that. So I download the app. I attach something to it, which is it's a EAD. I'm sure you know what that stands for. But and I would go to my friends and I say, hey, download this app. And they download the app and they would scan my QR code and it would say EAD. And they're like, oh, you dickhead. And I was like, oh, it stands for eat a dick. So so so
I didn't want to say that's your thunder. That's your story.
so I was like, oh, it works.
No, it worked.
So I took all the 7 original signs that we did, and we were doing 2 more, and I replaced all 7 signs with a QR code sticker,
Mhm.
sticker at the time, and I put stickers on all of them, and that's how that came about. So you scan the QR code, and you get the bio and the picture of the person that the sign is dedicated to.
Mhm.
So we started that, and it had all Purple Heart signs. Um, I had a falling out with the Purple Heart chapter because they're a bunch of old grumpy men, and they just wanted to sell cookies, bake cookies, and I said, "Hey, well, time to move on." So I recreated, with the help of my buddy Jamin Brooks, we recreated the veterans parking sign of what you see now. It says veterans parking or first responder parking, blue background, American flag in the center. Then whatever unit or person or organization that person is a part of is in the center of that, and then your QR code to the left and your gold plate on top. And that's where we're at nowadays. And we can put any organization or anything in there, and we continue. So King Signs does our signs for us, and they actually made a recommendation that we print the name. We make it gold, but we print a name on there with the sign. And I told them no because I didn't want the sign to seem like it was being mass produced and just run across a conveyor belt. We want to
Yeah.
keep it the way it is, and that gold plate is what signifies and separates that sign from just being a sign that's printed out plainly. And that's where
Yeah.
we're at with the
Keep it
parking
as
sign
original as
dedication.
possible. I
Mhm.
want. I want to ask you, Rick. The name Edward Dwayne Cantrell. Does that? His name is on a sign, correct?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, I definitely looked into that story. For anyone listening, or for anyone who doesn't know, Edward Dwayne Cantrell, he was in the army. He was a chief warrant officer, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he joined the army when he joined the army on 21 July 1994. So he joined the army like soon after I was born. I kind of think it's crazy. And he actually lived in North Carolina, kind of like the area where you're from. No?
Yes. Yes. He
Yeah.
grew up in this area.
Yeah. Getting into to the dark side of Mr. Cantrell and what happened. He was involved in a house fire that took the lives of him and his 2 small children, but him and his children are now laid to rest at the Arlington National Cemetery in Section 60. So definitely something that I would. This episode is definitely it brought to light Edward and his story and his girl story, and I would definitely love to go to the Arlington Cemetery and just pay respects to that grave. There's a cemetery, there's a veteran cemetery by me, and me and one of just some guy that I met. He's a veteran, and we like to do like philanthropy events together. We actually went. We go every month. We go to a veteran cemetery, and each plot we'll dedicate a month to. And all we'll do is we'll go. We'll kind of make sure that the all the headstones are good. We'll clean them off. We'll scrub them down depending on the time of year. Now it's cold, so we're not able to like use water and get down and dirty because it's just nearly impossible. But we'll bring some younger troops out there, and it it kind of brings against that. It brings together that sense of community and know like, hey, like you might be cold right now. Your feet might be cold and your toes might be all squirmy. But these guys are a lot colder than you are, and there's a lot of people that went before you. I'm looking at some of these graves, and I'm like, wow, this guy passed away, rest his soul, in 52. It's like, I was born in 94. Some of these people went through their whole life, fought for our country in World War I, World War II, and they don't even see the things that are going on today. They weren't around for 9/11. They have no idea what happened. So if we can do something to help them, like I'm on a shore duty, I'm home with my family. The least I can do is go out every year or every once a month and just take care of them and take care of their their headstones. It's one of those things for my mental health that I like to do, and for me to go out there full circle to go see Edward would honestly really mean a lot.
No, that's you know, as, I'm sure you did your homework, but actually that's where the sign dedication came from. He was the first
Yes,
sign we ever dedicated, and
correct.
that's a good
Correct.
tie-in right there. But
I
yes,
wanted you to be the person to say that though, not me. That's not my story. That's your story,
yes,
man. I
oh yeah.
really
So
do.
he was
Yeah.
he was the first person that the whole sign thing started was to honor him, and that's where his sign sits at True Fit Gym, Hope Mills Road, and we have another sign at Samuel's, which is the new version, which is out there. But yeah, that's it. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
No.
Good stuff. What you're doing too with the headstones.
Yeah, man. It's honestly some guy like what I did like when I first started this whole podcast. I was on watch one day and I was just miserable. I was bored, and I had this whole podcast thing going. So I was like, you know what? Let me like write some not fan mail, but just to like spread my name and kind of get out there. So I went on Google and I typed in veteran owned businesses, and there's like food trucks and there's like I don't know, pick a veteran owned business, and I just started writing letters, and I had like maybe 30 or 40 letters, and I just mailed them all out. And I was like, fuck it, whatever happens, happens. Little did
Mm-hmm.
I know, one of the guys that I mailed the letter to was the same guy that now I'm doing the cemetery, the veteran memorial cemetery cleaning with. And he was like, yeah, I got some letter from, I don't know, some person, and it had your sticker in it. So I scanned the QR code, and it brought me to you and your website. And I was like, I don't fucking know this person, but whatever. I like what he's doing. And then he started following me, and that's kind of how we got in contact with each other. Yeah,
Definitely.
crazy,
Good
man.
stuff.
Crazy story.
Oh yeah.
Rick, let's bring it to. I have something that's probably going to make your eyebrows go up and your eyes wide open, right? I'm curious, what does the date May 1st mean to you?
May 1st, 2016 is the first day we did the Man 22 Suicide Awareness Run.
Now,
So
why is it May 1st?
May 1st was it was the year after Barry passed away. Barry's birthday is May 5th, and mine is May 3rd. So I wanted to do something to honor him. So I said May 1st. I just picked May 1st. Said, hey, May 1st. That's it. So May 1st was a Sunday, a rainy Sunday, and people came out and said, hey, we're going to run 2.22 miles to reflect off the 22 veterans a day that were committing suicide. Still,
Mm-hmm.
those numbers vary between 18 and 22. Um, Back then, everybody was doing 22 push-ups, and it's like, okay, 22 push-ups for guys like us, is nothing. 22 push-ups, you do that, you get up, you get done. What is the point? You're not understanding what the suck is, what the load carrying bearer is. So I said, hey, let's strap on our vests. You know, let's strap on our vests. Wear the name tapes of those that are falling to suicide, and run 2.22 miles. Come back and do your 22 push-ups, and let's see how we feel then. The point is to, we wear the load of our brothers and sisters that we have lost, and we show that we can run and carry them and come back with them. At that time we had 55 people show up to this run. 54 of us was wearing one name tapes. There was a girl there wearing a different one, but at the time Barry Barker, 54 people wore his name, and that's where we were
Wow.
at. 55 people, a rainy Sunday. And I remember one of my good friends, Jay Otts, who has passed away. He called me and he said, hey, are we still doing this? I said, yeah, we are. He goes, it's raining. I was like, well, hell, get your ass out here. It's raining. It's
Yeah.
raining. He's like, fine, I'll get out my car. He was right there in the parking lot. He's like, get out my car. So he comes and and we do it. We run and we get done. Do our 22 push-ups, and then we all go have lunch, have some beers. Didn't think nothing of it. Next year came around. I said, oh, well, let's do it again. We did it again. Next year we had about 80 to 90 people. third year, we did it again. I brought in some guest speakers, some Bernard Carrick from he was the police commissioner of New York during 9/11. So brought him in as my first responder guest speaker. I had a veteran guest speaker, which was Victor Johnson, which is one of my good friends, and we did the run. We had jeeps out there. The jeeps were escorting, because we didn't have no police escort, so the jeep were riding on the same side that we were running to kind of block traffic down the line.
Hmm.
Um,
Correct.
I believe that year, or no, the next year. I think the next year I land. We got a little bird helicopter to land in the parking lot of the gym where we did the run at. That same third year, and it was just starting adding stuff. We had race cars. We had different things that were going on. Escorts. So the run was building itself. Fourth year came around. We had to move it because of COVID. So
Hmm.
we moved it. We ended up at the airfield here in Rayford. The fifth year came around, and that was the big year for me because that's when Barry Barker's mom was coming, and she came. I had finished school, so my whole pretty much my whole school, my whole dive school came up, set up a booth and everything, and we had the helmet there that I dove in, and we put his helmet next to it. I don't think you ever seen his helmet, but I'll send you pictures of that.
Yeah, please.
And so there we moved on the sixth year, the seventh year, and it just increased. This year was the eighth year. This year we
Yes.
decided to move it and do something different. We wanted to work with the city. We wanted to bring the visibility of suicide awareness, suicide prevention to the city, therefore tying in with the mayor, the city council, the chief of police, the people who wanted to be a part, who wanted to see this city grow and succeed. And in order to grow and succeed, you gotta maintain the community. You gotta look at the welfare of the community. Your veterans is a big part of this community because they transition and become the connection. So we had about 15, 1,600 people this year for the run. It was in the city, Festival Park. The city itself, the city key leaders were a big reason why it was such a success. The chief of police, the assistant chief of police, Chief Ramirez, Chief Braden, Mayor, Mitch and Kathy Jensen. Those are some people who, when I ran into some issues, I would call them, and then they were like, "Okay, give me a minute." And they would call, make a phone call, and boom, we'd have it. Um, to go from 55 to about 1,600 people, those are great numbers. Those are great
Yeah.
numbers. But it doesn't matter if we're not saving lives. 55, 1,600, if I can make it and I can reach one person out of either of those numbers, then we've accomplished what we were set out to do.
Hmm.
And every year I get a couple emails or messages from people who went to the run and say, "Oh, it was so great." The families that come to the run don't realize what's going on here in Fayetteville and how we're representing suicide awareness. And so I get at least 5 to 6 different messages, and out of those, probably three of them say, "Hey, that saved my life." So
Good,
I
man.
feel real good about what we're doing, but at the same time, then we're still losing lives, and
Yeah.
it gets discouraging for me sometimes. But we understand when a person's mind is made up, or you just can't save everyone, but we can try. We're trying our best, and that's just what the purpose is of what we're doing, is trying our best to save lives, veterans,
Do you,
first responder, and community wise.
do you have man 22? Is that where the 22 kind of comes into play?
Yep.
Yeah. So what?
22 veterans a day commit suicide is the average.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
22 veterans a day is the average that were committing suicide from about 2015 to about 2018, and the numbers fluctuate. They come and go, and you really can't determine the numbers. You know, probably about every week, two or three people are committing suicide right here at Bragg, and those numbers don't come down. I get those numbers from a great resource, but they don't come down because why? Because they're under investigation. Now you tell me why you need to investigate when you find someone with a self-inflicted gun wound or hanging from a rafter or something. I
Hmm.
understand the investigation, but you can determine that. But they don't want to put those numbers out there, and I feel that we're losing guys now after the war more because the way the army is settled is that they're treating it like a 9 to 5 job. during my time, we got extra loving after work, extra loving, and it was just like, oh man, I would have to leave out my window. Good thing I was on the first floor, but you can't treat the army, you can't treat these young soldiers as a 9 to 5 job. You leaving them in the barracks, they're even though they're 18 years old, they're still kids. They're still
Yeah.
kids, impressionable. I can count 2 more additional fathers I've had since I joined the military, mentors, fathers, but they're leaving these kids, and these kids are what they're stuck in their rooms playing video games, or they're stuck just not doing anything. So idle minds leads to idle hands, leads to idle stuff. So I believe targeting or trying to get to those guys is what we're trying to do. Get to the community. We're looking at 2 years ago. I started researching into um, young kids, into the traumas that they go through. COVID was a big thing. COVID was a big thing for them. Anxiety was up 98%. Depression was up 93%. And these are stats from 2 years ago. And the threat to harm oneself from ages 16, no, actually 15 to 17 rose up 368.393% in 2 years ago. So that was a kid just basically saying, I want to kill myself because I'm not happy, you
Mhm.
know, and we bring them back, come back from COVID and all that stuff. The colleges, they have a suicide that happens on campus. What they do, they shut down campus and send everybody home. Everybody was home for about 2 years. You're just sending them right back rather than addressing the issue, addressing the problems, counseling, all that stuff. And that's what we failed as. The Army failed at it back then with myself, but I also made that bed, slept in it. But they failed back then. And the way people are trying to handle it as the years come on, they're starting to catch on, but they failed. They failed us. They failed the community. They failed the people. You can't just put somebody back into a box because of a drastic situation that happened. You need to address the situation, confront it, attack it, and figure out how to minimize the whole situation from happening again.
Yeah, no, 100%. It, COVID definitely took a big blow to everybody. I mean, I was on a, I mean, it was a non like combat deployment, but still, it went from a deployment away from my family for 6 months, and then for some people that turned into 12 months. For me, that turned into 11 months, and that was like right during the holidays. So it was kind of shitty, and that's from a non-combat perspective. Then you're talking about people who whatever their situation may be, you have to let people like breathe a little bit, and like you said, like you can't take them from one box and put them into a bigger box because again they're still in a box. It doesn't really work like that. And then even for the young troops who get put in their barracks, that it's shitty. I was one of those guys too where I lived in barracks.
Mm-hmm.
I have done videos in the past for anyone listening, and you are living in the barracks. There are resources for you. For the Navy, there's like the MWR. For the Marines, they have like the MSCS or something like that. I don't know. Forgive me for not knowing the acronym, but they have availability to you to you know go on trips and rent kayaks and rent boats and fishing gear and baseball gear and sports gear, whatever have you, just to like get out, and it's free for the most part, or just a little fee because no one's just going to give you a boat for free. That's not how that works.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Rick, you can't rent fire trucks though. I'm sorry, can't. I had to tell you
I can't, but
that.
I have friends who have fire trucks, so I'm all about some fire truck. But you're right. So the Army has the BOSS program. BOSS program is better opportunity for single soldiers. It was also a
Okay.
program when I was in the Garrison Sergeant Major Seymour here at Bragg. He's very big into that, into fixing the facilities, getting these people out. I went and spoke at the BOSS program, kind of gave my story. Um, but yes, but to get the kids out, they don't want to go out. So that's where your NCOs come in, your junior leadership comes in and say, hey, let's go, get up, let's go. We're gonna go do things just like
Yeah.
parents should be doing with their kids. Your
Yep.
kids should be playing video games all day long and all that. Say, hey, get your ass up, let's go. Ranger Rick's gonna go paintballing, so Ranger Rick, Ranger Rick's
Yeah,
my
that'll be fun, man.
oh, I do. I take kids paintball. We call it Ranger Rick Paintball Day. And let me tell you, it's
Hey,
it's a
why you
good
having
time.
kids? I want to go.
Let's go. Let's go. We'll plan one
Yeah,
for
you
March.
down? Let's do it, man.
Yeah, we can.
You planning one from March? You said.
Yes, one for March.
All right, let's do it, man. I'm definitely down. I would love to say that I shot a special forces,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Army Ranger with a paintball gun.
What makes you think you're gonna get me? I just want you to know I play.
Well,
I play in a
no
tank
offense.
top. I
The,
play in a tank top.
oh my god.
That's how
Well, no
confident I
offense,
am.
Rick, but you are the size of a fire truck. It ain't gonna be that hard to not see you. Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Rick. Let's kind of tie into your parking space dedication, your Run 22, into the community and into the big thing is PTSD, right? Um, would you like to elaborate on PTSD and the military and our communities?
PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, post traumatic stress, however they want to tailor it. Mental stillness. Um, that when it comes to being in the military, PTSD in the military, when we were in, we don't think about it because if we think about it, we mention it, then it affects our job. We get, guys in special operations, just guys like people in law enforcement, people in EMS, anybody who talks about mental illness, they're risking that their livelihood of being released from work. So when we were in the military, when I was in the military, I should say, we never talked about it. But actually, we never, back then, it's like, oh, I'm drinking, I'm partying. That's what I'm doing. I didn't realize I was coping. I was trying to bury something, and that's the result of what happened was you don't realize it's going on. Then getting out the military, getting out abruptly, PTSD, bam, now it kicks in. Now it's like, oh shit, I do have a problem, but I have no resources, no one to help me out because I'm alone. I'm alone because
Mhm.
that's what the army did to me, pushed me out alone. So now you go back into that, and now you have no responsibility. You have no one over you, no one checking you, no one like, hey, well, you didn't come to work. Here's your Article 15. Here's your counseling. No, now you're on your own. You're drinking out there, and you become reckless, and you find yourself in these situations. You're completely reckless, and you're either going to bury yourself or you're going to come to a hard point where you say, I need to fix myself. And
Mhm.
not a lot of people get to that point. I was, I benefited that I reached that point, but it took the loss of a friend to get me there. What we try to do now is, I go to court with friends, and I enjoy court because they have good breakfast. So I go there for the breakfast in the morning. I'm always checking in. You'll see me check in, and I'm like, I'm here just for the breakfast.
Yeah.
But I'm usually there with a friend, and just sitting by him, just trying to, figure out what's going on. You know, I believe if there was a 2019 Rick for 2011 Rick,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be in the situation I was back then. Everything happens for a reason. So there wasn't a Rick back then to save that Rick, but there's a Rick now that can help and try and save others that are going through that same experience that I see. And that's what life after military with PTSD is. Then we move on once you figure out, you get your therapy, your resources, and you find out there's things there. Now it's building yourself within the community, the military community connection is joining with the community, bringing your veterans together, and providing 360 degrees of situational awareness and letting them know, hey, the community is here for you as we are here to provide our resources for the community itself. So build a community together because together we're stronger. And some civilians don't understand some of us military people, and it's that clashing, and it's like, okay, if you say you want to do something and you bring some military people into it and we see that it's not being done right, then we're going to take over the situation. We're not trying to take over your project, but we're going to take over to where it's being represented the right way. And some civilians in higher positions or in positions don't like that. And that's where the conflict comes. Now, it's like, boy, you're a bully, you're just being ignorant, angry, and it just goes back and forth. So we need to figure out what our weaknesses in a community is like and what our weaknesses as a veteran is like and our strengths and
Mhm.
balance each other that way. And that's why I feel how PTSD can affect both military, getting out, and in your community.
Yeah, it's definitely it's easier said than done. You know, the
Yes.
transition from being active duty to going into your new life. I'm gonna say because it's not like you just wake up and you're like, all right, now what? Like someone tells you what to do, where to go, what to wear. You gotta figure all that out on your own. And whatever happened during your career, it happened to you, right? So you have to live with that. You have to grow with it, and you have to figure out things to kind of get your life going back on track, right? It's just I don't know. I personally haven't lived through it, so I can't like relate or give examples or what I have done. Um, but resources are always out there, and no one is ever alone when it comes to shit like this.
Yes. Nope. It's out there. And, one biggest thing I tell guys, you know, you can find help by just going to this little thing they call a search engine called Google. You can type anything. It's like, hey, where can I find a pet possum? You know,
Yeah,
Google. Or
yeah.
where can I find a fire truck?
I always say the best resource is Military One Source. Quick Google
Yes.
engine search of
Hey,
Military One Source. They will
give me a
answer the
minute. I got to get
yeah
my plug.
yeah. Do what you got to do, man. I'm gonna keep getting into it because I'm definitely a speaker, not a speaker. I don't want to go that, but I'm definitely an advocate for Military One Source, where it doesn't matter what time of day it is, they will always answer the phone. They will let you know what the price of an orange is in East Asia. They'll let you know when it's going to rain in South America. They will always answer the phone for you. And whatever questions you have, if they can't give you the answer, they'll definitely help you find the answer. There's also the Veterans Military Crisis Helpline. You can always call that, if you're having like those maybe bad thoughts or tendencies. You have to take full advantage of everything the military and our communities give you while you're in, not only while you're in, but when you get out. Things aren't all sunshines, rainbows, and unicorns, right, Rick?
Yep, that's it. It's not.
Rick,
It
so
is not.
let's talk, right? You got a crazy career in the military and then out of the military. You have your parking space dedication program. You have your Run 22 suicide awareness
Man
annual.
22. Man 22.
Man 22. What did I say?
Run 22.
Run 22. Yeah, Man 22. My apologies. What is next for Ranger Rick and his team and his community?
So what next for us is to expand where we're at as far as the parking dedication. I want to have ambassadors at different places to do these parking dedication.
Mhm.
So like Savannah, I have a retired Sergeant Major James McGuffey, who the last two dedication we've done kind of we'll say training. He shadows me, so he kind of understands where we're at. So I want it to be when someone wants a parking dedication, we can have that person go there. They can execute it because you don't just put a parking sign up. You have to do a whole ceremony and everything with it. And that's what some people are mistaken. They think you could just duplicate the sign. I understand imitation is the best form of flattery, but to do the sign, you have to think about the family. The number one focus of a parking sign dedication is the family and make sure the family's comfortable and they have what they need and their loved one is being honored. So
Mhm.
ambassadors at different parts of the country would be where we're at with the parking dedication. As far as the run, we're going on our ninth year of the run. We've done the run to where the run has been done in different places, different locations at simultaneous time. So we want to expand that and probably take the run into different states, into different places, and just raise awareness. This is raising awareness for honoring those that we've lost to combat suicide or just in life. As long as they've served in that capacity, that's what we want. So expanding those two missions right there nationwide, which the parking sign is nationwide because we have 93 parking signs from North Carolina to Florida to Texas to Seattle. So we are nationwide when it comes to that. I fly around to these places, I do that, but I wanted to where we can have different ambassadors at those different locations. We want to do the run maybe on the West Coast. Maybe you can help facilitate that. So making the run nationwide. As far as the organization, we we established a pretty good committee this year for the run. Like I say, I have my chief of staff, I have my admin, I have my PR person. You know, Shout out to my PR person who's always saving me, you know. But my chief of staff, Carlos Villarreal, Sergeant Major, was probably just a blessing in disguise. You know, the man he's a retired G3 Sergeant Major from the 82nd Airborne. He's a Ranger Battalion legend. Him and his brothers are twins from First Ranger Battalion, and when he told me he'd come on as a chief of staff, I was like, "What does that guy do?" And he was like, "I'll show you," and he did. The run was so smooth, everything went so perfect. There was not that many people coming at me because they were just going to him,
Yeah, going ham.
and it
Yeah.
allowed me to interact with the people I should interact with. So establishing the organization, committee, board to a bunch of reliable, trustworthy people that you can let go and say, "Hey, you can make this decision." As long as I always tell them, if you want to make this decision, make it. As long as the best interest of the organization is on your mind and that's what you're making this decision based off of, then go ahead, go for it. And I have
Hmm.
no objections. So creating that and just making a stronger platform of the organization, committee, board, and just the people that we bring into the committee. There's a lot of people who come in and come out. They come in to either get their shine with the run or shine with the parking sign, and then try to branch off and go do something else, which I'm like, okay, cool. But just, understand when you come in here, it's a commitment. So if you decide to come in and some people will come in and just want to shine on your podcast one time and then go off and then you probably never hear from them again. And you
Yeah.
see that, you know how that happens. So we have people like that who want to tie into our organization. But we have people who have been committed for the last 8 years, and I honor those people. I thank those people. Um, so just creating that stronger sense of community, giving back, making sure the community knows we're here. Which after this year, they knew know they're here. My name is not Enrique Murillo here. It's actually Ranger Rick. Some people don't even know my real name, which is
Yeah.
okay.
I
That's
wasn't
that's
gonna.
who
I
we
wasn't
are.
gonna use. I wasn't gonna say Enrique Murillo. I was just gonna say Ranger Rick Murillo. That's it.
Yeah.
I was gonna
But
leave out the
yes,
first name.
just creating that platform, and you know, it's so much to do. We're considered boots on the ground, and I enjoy being boots on the ground. But in order to make changes, you got to have a seat at the table.
Hmm.
You can be that action guy all year long, but now we need to get a seat at the table because that person at that table can object or can vote for or can recommend that we do certain things that will help the community, help our veterans and stuff like that. So maybe a seat at the table is our future at what we're looking at for the organization. Not myself. I'll probably just vote somebody else in.
Yeah.
I'll
As
make
long. Yeah.
Carlos.
Yeah. No. That's dope, man. That's dope. If somebody wanted to be a part of the I was gonna say run again, the Man 22 run. How would they go about doing that?
So, well, the run, the parking sign, everything is under through tragedycomeslight.org. So you can go through tragedycomeslight.org or our Facebook page through Tragedy Comes Light. We have a Man 22 suicide awareness run page that they can go in. Next year, we're looking at the run for September 21st down in Festival Park, Suicide Awareness Month. So that's our tentative date we're looking at. Parking
Okay.
signs, my goal for the parking signs is to do one every month for the next year, as long as I can tie it in with my family life and my work.
Yeah.
Um,
Granted.
and so they can go to those sites, go to those things. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Ranger Rick without the A because the raccoon took it. There's a Ranger Rick raccoon out there. So I had to settle for RNGER. But you can find me on those pages, find information, keep up with what we're doing. Um, you can always donate to what we're doing. We don't raise funds all year, and that's one thing I'm very adamant about. We're not here like, oh, let's do this. We raise funds for situations. The parking sign, we look for sponsors. The run, we definitely look for sponsors. Um, and community driven. Christmas, we ask for volunteers, donations, stuff like that. Thanksgiving, we do that. So those are like our four things that are set. But throughout the rest of the year, unless something comes up, a tragedy, we've done hurricane relief before. We've sent 3 teams in the last 3 years out to do hurricane relief. Um, so when those things come up is when we ask for money, we volunteer, or we say, hey, we need this money to do that. So there
Okay.
is a donation button on through Tragedy Comes Light. You can go there, donate towards the missions. But I just tell people if we don't need it, then we won't ask for it. We won't. But my
Yeah.
board, my chief of staff said, hey, we should always have money in the bank. my rebuttal to that: if we have money in the bank, then we're not doing what we're supposed to do and giving back. But we'll let that be right there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
they can reach
you,
out.
yeah, you got to let him handle all that stuff.
Yeah,
You took him on for his purpose. Let him run it. You just continue to do you, man. You just
no,
continue
no,
to do you.
no. Yeah, so
Honestly, what you do
those are
is great.
certain things that you can look us up. We're social media. We're there. We're social media giants.
Easy day.
So
If your wife is currently still live watching the live, if she wants, she can go ahead and drop that link in the comments or in the feed. I'll also drop
yes,
that when I actually take this episode and post it on all of my other platforms for people to listen in again. I'll drop all your links down below so anyone wants to click
yep.
and sign up and do whatever they want to do. Be
Yep.
my
I have
guest, man.
someone. She's gonna drop it in there right now.
I love that.
One of Casey Nash. She's one of our great supporters out of Georgia, American Legion Commander. I believe I'm part of the American Legion. I don't know. So I think she signed me up. So,
Yeah, did you scan the QR code?
you're right. I think I did. But yeah, no, she's dropping that in there. But yeah, just reach out to us. Keep track of what we're doing. We're tied in now. Now we're friends. Check out Mr. Ryan Landry. He does a podcast himself. Learned a lot from that dude. He brought it. I met him last year or this year, and he brought his whole podcast and everything down to the run and did a live feed from there. So you are more than welcome to join us and be our guest for the run and
I
bring
love
that
that.
podcast down.
Uh,
However we can help you expand to do what you do and reach what you do, and by you allowing us to speak on your platform, that means a lot.
yeah,
We
no,
get
of
our
course.
story out, we get these stories out, let people know that there's real people out here that are living these things, that are going through these things, that are recovering through these things. Resiliency is one of the key things I tell people about. Resilience. What does resilience really mean? It's coming back. What it was. I gotta look at the definition because I really like it. To recover quickly from difficulties. Now, the key thing in there is quickly, but nothing happens quickly.
Hmm.
When you find yourself in a position or in a bad position, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. So I always take that word quickly out. I like to mention it, but I like to go verbatim. It takes time. It took me about probably 6 to 7 years from getting out the military to actually be in a stable place. Now, I'm not in the best place I still could be at a 43-year-old male doing what I do. There's still stuff, pieces that I have to pick up. There's still relationships that I have to mend. There's just different things out there that it's not complete. If you wake up and you say, hey, from a scale of 1 to 10, my day is at a 10. When your day reaches a 10, you should probably go to sleep
Yeah,
because you can't get any better. You should be at an 8 at the most by the time you come home because there's always still more stuff to do.
yeah, you're definitely not wrong about that. There's 24 hours in a day, and that'll never change. So,
Yep.
if you haven't figured it out by now of how to plan your day and how to go about your day and make the day your day, and
Mhm.
sit down, get yourself a notebook, and start writing. Rick,
Yes.
do you have any questions for me, man? I feel like I've been
I
talking
want
to
to
you
know
the whole
why you
time.
started this podcast. You kind of told me you were sitting alone at a desk, but what? Just recap on why did you start it and kind of where you're at now, and what is this doing for you? Is it therapeutic? Is this your time? So just kind of go into that.
Yep, definitely, man. I appreciate the question. So let's get into why I started it. You ever just have an idea? You ever have a goal like, hey, I want to learn how to ride a bike. I want to learn how to roller skate. I want to lose 10 pounds. Never happens. I got tired of telling myself that I wanted to do things or seeing other people say that they wanted to do things, and I'll encourage that person, and then it never happens. And then same goes for myself. So I said, you know what? I want to do a podcast, and I look where I am now. You know what I mean? I got my LLCs up. I got my guest up. My guests are probably like the best thing I could ever have because, yes, I have my community and everybody that's tied to me and everybody that listens, but it's the guests that I get to talk one on one with and build those stronger relations. My community and my freedom empire, as I like to call them, they have my back and I have some great fans, but I don't need, the Joe Rogans and, all the big times to come and be guests on my episodes. I'm here to give the average Joe a chance to come on and tell their story, right? Like everybody has a story. Everybody's been through some shit. So what I want to do with my platform, my podcast, is let people know that hey, you're not alone. This guy, Ranger Rick, likes fire trucks. He looks like a fire truck, but he went through some shit too, you know? So just because you're not as big and bad as the next guy doesn't mean that you're the only one that shit affects on a day-to-day basis. So listen to this person's story. Know that everything's gonna be okay. Day by day, shit gets really bad, but eventually, you can overcome things following these types of steps. Or maybe you're not into ways that this person overcame their mental health. Maybe you don't like going to the gym. Maybe you don't like running, right? But there's other ways you could do it. Going on hikes, going fishing, so be it. Everyone has a story. I just want to be able to give everybody a chance to tell their story on a free platform.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
what kind of got me into it, right? So that's kind of why I started it and how I started it. I'm doing this mainly for my mental health. There was a time where I want to say about a year and a half ago. I'm not going to get into too much detail because I'm currently still active duty, but shit was a struggle. Like I thought COVID was bad. No, I was going through it, and I honestly needed an outlet, right? And I like to run. Running's good for me. I get to go outside and breathe fresh air and go uphill and downhill. And when I'm going downhill, life is easy. When I'm going uphill, I'm fucking regretting ever going for a run. But you know, something to be able to talk to another person, be able to hear everyone else's story, and know like, hey, like what I went through a year and a half ago is not as bad as getting stripped from E7 to E1, getting OTH, getting my SF strip. Like what you went through compares nothing to what I went through. So it kind of helps me realize that, hey, man, like I said before, shit is bad, but it could be worse. Yeah,
Good
man.
stuff.
I had to end it on a silent note because that was a lot for me to get out, man. Really.
It's good. You gotta let it out.
Yeah. Thank you for your question, man. I really do appreciate
Mhm.
it. All right, Rick. Any shout outs before I let you go? I don't want to take too much time out of your day.
Just shout out to my team, the committee, my wife, through tragedycomeslight.org, off-road outreach, low country wranglers, Mopars of Fayetteville, cracking skulls. I got to talk about my husband. You'll probably see me with lunch. The guy I eat with all the time, Chad. Chad's a big guy. I would love to get Chad tied in with you and get him on your podcast. He's my partner in crime, and we served together in third group, and we're serving together again in the community. And he's definitely one of my right hand man. And Cracking Skulls, look them up. We're doing our Christmas party Saturday. Cracking Skulls, Rick's Eve. Um, Shout out to the city of Fayetteville for accepting us and letting us do what we do.
Hell yeah. We love America and we love our communities, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
right.
crazy.
God bless America.
God,
Remember, you can lose everything in life, everything materialistic. You can lose all that, but don't lose yourself. Because once you lose yourself, then that's it. But everything else can be lost. But once you don't want to lose yourself.
yeah. Never. Never. And on that note, we gotta end it, Rick. We gotta end it. Rick, what does this song mean? Hey, Eminem, don't
There you go.
copyright me.
There you go.
Rick, I'm gonna let you go, brother, man. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. I hope to have you on again in a couple of years, in a couple of months. Let me know where your career is going, where your parking space dedication, and where your Man 22 event is. Rick, thank you so much, brother, man.
Thank you, brother. We'll be in touch.
Freedom Empire. We'll catch you
All
next
right.
time, baby.